Okay, hello everybody and welcome to the 30-day Kickstarter program. I'm Rev and I've just put together this very short online seminar that you can sort of refer back to at any point in time, and I'm just going to cover some very important points that I've found have been pretty instrumental in making sure everyone is, as successful as they can be with this 30-day program of mine. So I'm going to go ahead and jump straight into this. So listen on up. Now, I became a personal trainer a bit over 5 years now, and it was a bit of an accident, really, in a sense that one of my really good friends at the time, it was his idea to go to the Personal Training Institute, right? And he was basically like, oh, can you come and have a look at this Cert 3 and 4 in fitness at the Institute of Fitness? I was like, yeah, I'll come along, just being a good mate and, being that moral support sort of guy. And long story short, we were in there walking around for about maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours, and I ended up signing up for this personal training course. So it was really one of those moments in my life where it was kind of an accident that I fell into, and then everything sort of drove from there. And why I decided to sort of follow and specialize in weight loss and toning up in particular is it's one of the, if it's not the only, it's the fastest resulting fitness goal of them all. Do you know what I mean? Like, weight loss happens a lot faster than trying to build muscle tone. Weight loss happens a lot faster than trying to increase athletic performance. Weight loss happens a lot faster than trying to build strength. So I guess you could say I'm a bit impatient and from that point of view, but the long and short of it is it's a very, very, very satisfying job for me. I know, as original as it sounds, it really doesn't feel like it a work life, or perhaps even a job, in a sense that, when I get up at 5 a.m. in the morning, I've got a huge smile from ear to ear, and that's real talk. So it's very, very rewarding and satisfying for me, and that's the reason why I continue to do what I do to this day. Now, my little mission, right? These little tickers, as I call them, is powered by a piece of software that I call Fit Clients. Now, Fit Clients tracks all of the kilograms that I've lost, that my clients have lost collectively since I think it was about May last year, right? So last year, all of my clients lost 163 kilos, 52% body fat, and 407 centimeters lost. So up until now, those tickets have gone through the roof, which is awesome. But my mission, just so you understand how you're helping me out, which is why I'm really thankful for you joining this 30-day program, is to help enough people to lose 1,000 kilos collectively, the same for 1,000% body fat lost, and to help people lose 10,000 centimeters collectively. So you're going to be instrumental in helping me reach my goals, and as a result, I'll help you reach your weight loss, fitness, and fat loss goals. So it's really an awesome win-win situation, and those are some values that are very, very important to me to be able to try and hit by the end of this year anyway. So moving right along. What is weight loss versus toning? Now, weight loss is really just the idea of what you're doing to lose weight without a priority of maintaining or building lean muscle tone, yeah? Which means simply watching the scale. So if you're watching the scale, I mean, you could be losing anything, you could be losing or gaining, I should say, anything from water weight. You could be measuring your scale weight at inconsistent times of the day, which means you might have food in your belly, you might not, therefore you see gains and losses. And the long and short of it is it's relatively inconsistent, especially when you're not taking more than one measurement in different forms. And I'll explain that a bit later. But on top of that, toning up to me is prioritizing losing body fat whilst building lean muscle tone, also called sculpting. Yeah. So when people talk about toning up and building definition into certain areas, trying to lose, perhaps the body fat on the back of the arms, the tuck shop arms, as they're often referred to, perhaps even, the bottom of the belly, the hips, that sort of thing. That's where I sort of, I categorize that as toning up. And what we're really trying to do is drop body fat in that area and build lean muscle tone. And that sort of works in two ways, meaning that we're dropping a little bit of size from losing body fat, but we're building in a little bit of lean muscle tone in that area so that you are burning more calories during the day, because the more lean muscle tone that you have, the more calories you burn throughout the course of the day over 24 hours. It's something you can track that I might explain a bit later on, actually. So really, really interesting. Now, the style of training that I use for all of my clients in my Fit Fam is high intensity interval training. You've probably heard of it. Very basically, high intensity interval training was developed, came from the core of a Japanese guy. I've forgotten his name, but last name Tabata. If you've ever heard of Tabata, it's basically a form of interval training where you're working for 20 seconds and you're resting for 10 seconds. So 20 seconds work period, 10 seconds rest period, and you go for anywhere from 10, 15, maybe even 20 seconds. And what I've done with that style of training is added in toning exercises and cardio exercises, and constantly chopping and changing this style of training and exercises using a high intensity interval training principle is basically the most efficient way that I've found to date to help my clients lose a fair amount of weight, but more importantly, tone up their bodies and really feel really great at the end of whatever training periodization that we're using. Now, it's really effective for burning body fat for the reasons I just mentioned before. But as you can see with the graph down the bottom with the heart rate graph, is that we've got all of these peaks up here, and then we've got all of these troughs down here. Now, the reason that's important is because I use a lot of heart rate monitors in my training, personally with clients and in group training, and I've just found that it gives me some really good insight into which exercises are burning the most calories for the majority of people. So I'm adding those exercises and variations of them into the sessions to make sure they're as efficient as possible. And more importantly, after this 30 days, you'll have a better understanding of what exercises are doing the most for you. Squats might not be as good for you, but they might be really beneficial for me. So I'll keep doing them, whereas you'll need variations of them. So it gives you a bit of insight into what's actually working for you, yeah? And why is it better than walking on a treadmill or steady state cardio? Now, steady state cardio for me is kind of like going for a walk. Now, going for a walk is all well and good, but if you've got 30 minutes to burn, no pun intended, if you've got 30 minutes to burn and you're going for a walk, you're much better off taking that 30 minutes and using a high intensity interval training principle like what I use to be able to sort of, get the most bang for your buck. Everyone's fairly time poor these days, I think. So if we're being really efficient with our time and making sure we're burning as many calories in a 30-minute session, then results come a lot faster as opposed to walking. We just find that you'll burn more calories over the course of the day as your body uses them to recover from our sessions, other than just the 30 minutes you might use to go walking. Yeah, so that's the major difference, is that you burn calories outside of the sessions as well. That's a bit of a Mr. Miyagi moment, wax on, wax off. So understanding the high intensity interval training, here you've got a traditional cardio workout down here where your metabolic rate, aka also I should say how many calories you're burning, which you can burn a fair amount of calories, but it does drop down again. Whereas when we're using this high intensity interval training principle, your heart rate goes through the roof, which is definitely a good thing. And then it maintains the amount of calories that it's burning throughout the day. So that's just a bit of a diagram to give you a bit more insight about it. If you've got any questions on that, do let me know. I'll be happy to explain it. I can talk your ear off about this stuff all day. So, goal setting. Very, very, very important to set goals. I know it might sound original. You might do them for work. You might do them currently for your own lifestyle at the moment. If you don't, this is a fantastic time to start implementing some goal setting. And I do goal setting every single day, if not every single week. You saw some of my goals before, having clients collectively lose 1,000 kilos, so on and so forth. And it gives you something to aim for, and it just makes everything so much more achievable, and you can form a habit faster by aiming for goals, yeah? Now, with goal setting, a couple of things I like to use is to always aim for the stars, and that means stop thinking realistically, yeah? I think once upon a time, our parents, probably even our teachers as well, are kind of just like, just aim for a realistic goal. Do you know what I mean? Aim for a realistic goal, and then you can't be dissatisfied, and then you can't feel let down. And if you could see me right now, I'm basically just, very passionate about talking about goal setting, but making sure that we're setting these goals really, 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 really high, okay? And when you understand, for example, if you wanted to lose 10 kilos, why not aim for 20? do what you need to do for 20 in the way of training and nutrition, aim for 20, and then if you fall short, I guarantee you smash 10 kilos, and then your good problem that you're going to create, which I'm all about creating really good problems, is that you've lost too much weight and you can perhaps relax a little bit. Wouldn't it be great to be thinking about, oh shit, maybe I need to put on a little bit more weight instead of, worrying about, trying to hit this. So always set your goals really, really high, even, times it by 10, whatever those goals are, so that you're smashing them. And even if you fall short, you're ahead if you had set these realistic goals. So I hope that makes sense. And also break it down into weekly values. What do you need to do weekly to reach these goals? Do you need to break down 10 kilos over 30 days? Do you need to break down 20 kilos over 30 days? Whatever that is, you need to find out what you need to do, which is what I'm here to help you do, and develop a bit of a system and some healthy habits to follow to break these things down into what you need to do weekly. So have a think about that and do it in 14-day intervals. So with this 30 days, obviously we're going to be doing 2 rounds of 14-day intervals, and I'll explain that in the next slide. Physically have it in a highly visible area. So I always put my 14-day goal setting plans on the front of my fridge, so I see it every single day, and I can tick off these days as I go. I can see how many I've got right and how many I've got wrong, and it gives me a bit of perspective, which I will show you now. Now, this is my 14-day plan, which resets every single 14 days. And my clients aren't too dissimilar from me in that sense. I like to think I rub off on them some very good positive vibes and some good positive and healthy habits as well. And one of them is to train 5 days per week. You can train, anywhere from 3, 4, 5 to 8 times a week. It's completely up to you. And to eat 3 healthy meals per day. And when you get these goals right, say if I eat 3 healthy meals per day and I train for that day, then I circle it. If I don't do one of these goals, then I cross it off down here, yeah? And the very, very, very interesting thing about this is that it gives you perspective, yeah? So at the end of the day, at the end of this 14 days, you might think that you have had a really bad day, Saturday or Sunday, whatever it is. You might have gone out drinking, socializing, eating a lot of crap food that you probably shouldn't be eating. So you're crossing these days off, and when you go to reset, you're like, why should I be bothered? I've had a really crap day, I'm just going to give it up and throw it all in here. So this is where this comes, incredibly in handy and is very important for setting goals here, is that it gives you perspective, because I guarantee if you're using this 14-day goal setting plan, you will have more circles than you will crosses, yeah? And looking back on that is a very, very powerful encouragement, motivational, and consistency tool, yeah? You can look back on here and think, oh, okay, well, I had a bad Saturday, I had a bad Sunday, but, I had a really good working week, Monday to Friday, and that's why we focus on that, yeah? Just a note there as well, you'll see that Saturday and Sunday isn't there. I don't expect people to focus on, healthy eating and, training on the weekends. However, obviously the more consistent you are with your healthy eating and healthy habits, you will get faster results. So that's just food for thought, really. Now, be comfortable being uncomfortable. Set your standards high, set your goals high, like we covered before, and demand more from yourself. So when you're tired, when you feel like, I don't know, perhaps you've had a big day with the kids, you haven't got dinner prepped, all this sort of stuff where it's a lack of preparation, it's putting you in an uncomfortable position. The longer that you are in uncomfortable situations and positions, your body has to adapt, your mentality has to adapt, and your overall lifestyle has to adapt to make this process more comfortable for you, yeah? So next time, I suppose, when you're feeling uncomfortable and you're feeling a bit stressed, really take comfort in being uncomfortable. That's a little sort of, I suppose, motto of mine, is that the more you can be in uncomfortable situations, yeah? Exercise isn't that comfortable for people who haven't exercised in a while. However, you'll get faster results because your body is constantly adapting to these workouts. So for future thought, when you're sore for this first week, it's only going to take a week, maybe even 2 max, for your body to start to get into a rhythm of recovering, adapting, and then your good problems that you're going to create for yourself is going to be finding exercises and sessions that are constantly seeing progress from them and seeing results from them, yeah? So good problems. I'm all about creating good problems, but operate at 10 times what you think you need to realize your fitness goals. And that's sort of coming back to creating goal-setting techniques and creating that 14-day goal-setting plan, yeah? As I mentioned, if you want to lose 20 kilos, sorry, if you want to lose 10 kilos, aim for 20, and then even if you fall short, guarantee you've smashed 10. Learn what you need to do to reach your goals, times them by 10, so you smash your realistic goal, as we mentioned before, and you're creating new and good problems for yourself, meaning that you kind of might even have to think of another better goal because you've already smashed this one. Isn't that a better problem to have than keep trying to sort of scrape back and scrape towards this realistic goal, if you know what I mean? So food for thought. Now, your body will adapt to whatever you put it through. That's how it's built to survive. So, you know, putting on body fat and putting on weight really is your body adapting to what you're doing, yeah? So it thinks that because you're eating, I don't know, perhaps drinking soft drink, you're eating a lot of crap foods, you're sitting down a lot of the time, you're not very active, is that it's storing body fat for a rainy day, so that if it doesn't get this sustenance that you're giving to it in the way of, you know, crap foods and soft drink, whatever it is that it'll be able to delve into those body fat stores for energy for a rainy day. Because that's all body fat really is just stored energy. So when you flip that system and that process, that bodily function on its head, and now you're demanding more from it in the way of burning more calories, doing more exercise, giving yourself a bit more education in the way of what you need to be eating and why and when, which we'll cover later. That's when it'll start to adapt. And adaptation in the way of training specifically is your body's way of telling you that it's giving you results. So very, very interesting. On that note, when have you ever achieved something worthwhile that was easy? Do you know what I mean? Whether it be a KPI at work, any sort of goal, any sort of target, you'll find that you've more than likely been put in an uncomfortable situation having to work towards something. And fitness goals are the exact same thing. Take satisfaction in the things that make you uncomfortable, because those are the things that change you 100%. You will finish this challenge. I want 100% completion from everyone in this challenge. 30 days goes very, very, very fast, yeah? So whatever you are doing for this challenge, you're setting 14-day goals, you're doing a bit of meal prep, make sure you're exceeding what you think you need to do. Operate at 10 times the level that you think you need to do to realize your fitness goal. Do that, because 30 days will go very fast, and you can, I don't know, what would you rather feel like at the end of 30 days, that you've smashed this challenge and there isn't an ounce of regret in you to say that, oh, maybe I could have done this better. Don't live and don't leave yourself open to have that feeling of regret at the end of 30 days, because that is exactly what I don't want. Turn up to sessions, regardless of what's happened, where you've been, or even if you've missed a few days. I've found that people usually feel as though because they've missed a whole week, not that we're going to aim to miss a whole week because you're going to smash this challenge, but because you've perhaps missed a whole week, that it's all over, and that, I don't know, you're not invited or encouraged to come to boot camp anymore. Absolute rubbish. If you missed a couple of days, if, you know, the kids are hanging on your ankles and you can't, you know, prep this, you can't get to training, come to as many as you can, and you'll see results, and your body will adapt, and everything just kind of happens a lot better as a result of you making an uncomfortable decision to be uncomfortable, yeah? Now, you're going to get a relentless coach from me for the next 30 days, and when I say relentless, I mean relentless in ensuring that you're doing everything you possibly can to reach your fitness goal. My job, I believe, as a weight loss and toning coach, is to make sure that I'm keeping you accountable, that I'm making sure that I'm keeping you consistent, and that I'm giving you every single tool you could possibly need to reach your fitness goal, yeah? That's what I believe my job is, to ensure you're seeing results by giving you all the tools you need, and then keeping you accountable and consistent by implementing these tools that I'm giving you, yeah? That's the biggest fall down for everyone, is that if they fail to implement, meaning that if they fail to do a bit of meal prep, if they fail to eat healthy in general, if they fail to turn up to training, all these things, they're failing to implement the tools that I'm giving you, yeah? So implement the stuff that I'm giving you and you'll get massively epic results. That's what we're aiming for. Now, the good stuff, nutrition. How good does that look? Salmon, what is it? Salmon and cashew salad and a bit of rice. Amazing. Now, macronutrients, if you didn't know, are protein, carbs, fats, and, you know, fiber for good measure. Protein is the only macronutrient, right, that is responsible for helping your muscles recover, yeah? So if you haven't got protein in your eating plan, if you haven't got protein in your eating habits, it's really hard for your body to recover and build lean muscle tone, yeah, which is what we want to be doing regardless of what weight loss goal you've got. And on that note, carbs and fats are really, in my opinion, an energy source. So chocolate, for example, is an energy source. You might even feel like, I'll put it this way, I feel like, and this is really interesting, I feel like a lot of us are programmed to go for these high sugar food items that obviously aren't that good for us, but they bring back, they bring high blood sugar levels. They give you energy really fast, but they also drop you very fast, so you feel like you need to keep eating in order to get that sustained energy release. Now that's where we sort of you'll get a bit of education in the form of types of carbs, fats, where to put them, and all that sort of stuff, and how to sort of how to make them work for you, I suppose, to reach your fitness and fat loss goals. Yeah. Now, where do they fall into a weight loss and toning goal? We're going to have probably a moderate amount of protein for this particular 30-day Kickstarter program, and in a nutshell, we're going to be eating more vegetables, because a really good example I can give you is that, other than the obvious stuff, like we need to try and cut down on all the soda drinks, all of the fizzy drinks, stuff that's high in sugar. People who are having just fruit for breakfast seems to be a fairly common denominator with people that I meet for the first time, but we'll go over that anyway, is that it's very, very important that you're having a moderate amount of protein, a little bit of veg with every single meal, perhaps even breakfast. If you can't, that's fine, we'll address it then. But just so that your body's getting all of the sustenance that it needs to, number one, facilitate your energy levels for the day, making sure they're consistent, which is something to track as well. And number two, very close number two, is to make sure you're recovering as fast as possible. And those 2 points are a very good indication that you're on the right track in reaching your fitness goals, yeah? So, shake diets, do they work? You might have used a shake diet in the past. You might have done a cut-out diet in the past. Shake diets includes everything from Isogenics, Herbalife. I can't think of any off the top of my head, but there's a million out there. All of the pyramid schemes and all that sort of stuff. And to be very honest with you, I'm a very open-minded person. These shake diets definitely do work. People do lose a lot of weight, but the type of weight that you're losing isn't necessarily the type that you want for longevity and sustainable results. So I'm very much about sustainable results here at Revs Fitness. So the weight that you're sort of losing is a lot of water weight. You're losing truckloads of lean muscle tone because you're only getting X amount of calories for that particular shake and that particular meal time. And at the end of the day, yeah, you'll get results really fast, but there is a cost. There is a high risk for those sort of results that come very fast. So that's a conversation you need to have by yourself. If you do need help with it, by all means, reach out. If you're currently using one and you find it is working for you, just reach out. We'll have a chat about it and go from there, and just make sure you're doing it as sustainably as possible, yeah? Now, cut-out diets means anything from, being completely gluten-free, being, lactose-free. I guess, if you're not allergic to lactose, if you're not sensitive, you're lactose intolerant, if you're, you need to cut out gluten for, nutritional and dietary reasons, it doesn't mean you should jump on that sort of bandwagon. I find in the media that there seems to be a lot of cut-out diets, like having zero carbs, although it does get fast results. Is it realistic to think that you're never going to have carbs again for the rest of your life? So why should you even start cutting those out altogether? Although, again, you'll get fast results, but is it sustainable? You've always got to be asking yourself, with whatever diet that you're using, is it sustainable? Is it something that I'm going to be able to sustain after these 30 days? Yeah. So that's where I'm very much in the pattern of making sure we're using more of an eating guide, and making sure that we're using it in a way that's sustainable. One that's family friendly is something that's very important to me, and I'm sure it's very important to my clients as well. It's something that you're not having to cook the family different food to yourself, because that's an unsustainable living pattern, and something that I wouldn't recommend. But again, if you have any questions on it and you need any guidance for that, be sure to reach out and we'll address it from there. Now, the eating guide that we're going to use is easy to maintain when understood. You don't lack energy during the day, which is a massive one for me. You'll recover faster from exercise, which is, a close second. Doesn't impede your social life, so you can use it and, go out, socialize. You understand what you need to be eating to do those above 2 points, lacking energy and recovering faster from exercise. It's a style of eating that the whole family can enjoy comfortably, and it's flexible. We want flexibility with our eating lifestyles and eating patterns, because flexibility is being sustainable. It's a really, really good pattern to get into. So this is obviously not the full list, but this just gives you a gist. When we're creating a meal, we're choosing something from our protein column. Depending on the type of day, we're having either low carbs or high carbs, and then fats in there for good measure. I just think of fats in general as a way of facilitating healthy joints. So whether it be fish oil capsules, nuts is a really good snack, high in protein, high in good fats. The sort of turning point with all of these macronutrients, by the way, the turning point really is that protein and fats are much more calorie dense, to the point where if you're having perhaps 125 grams of chicken and half a handful of, I don't know, nuts or walnuts, that's sitting up and around 2 to 250 calories. Whereas 125 grams of broccoli is 30 calories. So that's where the sort of aha moment should be happening for a lot of you, is understanding that instead of filling up on, potato, rice, heavier carbs, or, perhaps more nuts and avocado, perhaps more protein, specifically for this 30-day Kickstarter, I'd like us to be mindful of being satisfied and filling up on green veg as well. But that'll be explained more in the eating guide. So moving right along. This is how we construct meals. I use handfuls, my clients use handfuls, and it's just a very simple and sustainable, more importantly, way of measuring and portioning your meals. So when we're constructing a meal, it's 1 handful of protein from the column in the last slide, and 1 handful of the type of carbs, whether they be fast or slow or high or low absorbing carbs. So everyone's eating is perfect for the first week, and I kid you not, and I'll tell you right now, is that this first week is like, it's a bit of an eye-opener, because you might think that something healthy that you've been eating for a while, or been trying to make an effort with, isn't that healthy, or perhaps I should say you could always do a little bit better. I'm always about making sure we're doing everything as efficiently as possible. And eating for the first week is always perfect, and then number 2 and number 3 tend to take a bit of a slip. So make sure, and the reason being, I should say, is make sure that whatever eating style that you're creating from using this eating guide, that it's sustainable, and that it's, aiming towards the fitness goals, the weight loss and toning goals that you've set. But we'll talk about that a bit later. And just, create a trigger in your mind, create a trigger in your consciousness, that when you start to slip on that eating guide and that food diary, right, is to realize that, maybe I've done things, a bit too full on, and, I really shouldn't be doing this or doing that. But we'll talk about that a bit later, yeah? Now, how to measure progress. This is very, very important. You need to take your before photos. Obviously, we'll take your after photos at the end of the 30 days. I should say you'll take your after photos. I'll send you an email on the criteria for taking these photos so you can see results properly. I just hate for you to get to the end of 30 days and not be able to compare the difference visually, because I won't be able to see the difference, and I guarantee you won't be able to see the difference day to day, because the changes happen ever so slightly, but they're absolutely maximized when you go starting point, end of 30 days. So make sure you take your before photos. I'll send an email out for that. Tape measurements, we'll go through that a bit later. Body composition scans, quite interesting. I would recommend getting them if you're more so interested in toning up, yeah? Because that'll give us an idea of how much lean muscle tone you possess, where you've got a lot of this lean muscle tone, and it'll also track an increase of lean muscle tone at the end of this 30 days. Yeah, it'll also give me a very interesting figure that I can use specifically and personally for you, which is called your BMR, or basal metabolic rate. And that's a number that's very important and specific to you, I should say. And when they say some foods and some training styles increase your metabolism, it's that BMR, that figure, which increases, that says, you've increased your metabolism. So it's something physical that you can track, and just another way of measuring progress that we can use to show you some really positive results. So I do recommend them. Ask me about them. Scales, if you are weighing yourself on the scales, obviously on the day one and every 2 weeks, because there's just too much that can fluctuate from day to day. I wouldn't recommend doing day to day at all. You get carried away and you're not focusing on the right end goal. We should be focusing on making sure we're doing more than we need to with the way of eating and training. And then perhaps at the 2 week mark, the 14-day mark, when you reset your goals, that you remeasure that one, yeah? Heart rate data is something we'll do during the sessions using a heart rate monitor. These two here, energy levels and clothes fitting, is the first two things people tell me they notice. Their energy levels skyrocket because your body's now sort of working in overtime to process all of this body fat, process all of this healthy, good foods, and your mood and your energy levels and all these feel-good hormones go through the roof. That's the first thing. And then clothes fitting differently. This is something that you may or may not notice, is that you're breathing during the sessions, huffing and puffing and feeling really out of breath. Goes away within about the first 2 weeks, if not sooner. So it's something to keep an eye on, because it is a measure of progress that you're getting more comfortable with these exercises, and then we're creating new problems and we'll have to change the training up. And also your strength. Now, your strength could be anything from doing X amount of push-ups or X amount of squats. I recommend, in your own time, do as many squats as you possibly can, and then do as many push-ups as you possibly can on your knees, and then test it again at the end of 30 days. I guarantee that that goal will go through the roof, yeah? Now, moving right along, supplements, right? So these are the only two out of about, 3, 4, or 5 that I'd recommend, and that's a really good protein powder. I'll send you a different video on this because it is quite a mouthful to get your head around what type of supplements to use. But basically, a protein powder I recommend is just any whey protein isolate that's from New Zealand. The best stuff in the world comes from New Zealand, and branched chain amino acids. And just very, very simply, these branched chain amino acids, this is a brand that I use called Extend. It's got a lot of different flavors, such as Watermelon Madness. If you've ever seen those guys and the girls that wander around with, colored drink whilst exercising, it's more than likely going to be amino acids. And basically, in its most basic form, to understand it, amino acids, or BCAAs, are just protein water. But it doesn't mean that you can just have this and not have this. But I'll explain that at a later date, because again, it is quite an interesting conversation. So, different types of protein powder. You've got whey protein concentrate, you've got whey protein isolate, and then you've got hydrolyzed whey protein isolate and casein protein. And as I mentioned, BCAAs or aminos are technically a protein powder. They're just, filtered down to a water texture. Now, this is the stuff we want to avoid. We want to avoid whey protein concentrate. That stuff is, although it is quite cheap, it doesn't absorb it as fast. It's, a bit higher in fat. It's got a fair bit of lactose in it, so those of you who feel a bit bloated from having dairy, that sort of thing, that's what you want to avoid. This is your entry-level type of protein, is whey protein isolate, lower in fat, lower in lactose. It's just filtered down and absorbs a lot faster, so your recovery will be faster having whey protein isolate than whey protein concentrate. And the next one up from that, the King Daddy Dog, is the hydrolyzed whey protein isolate. So basically, it's faster again, absorbing than whey protein isolate. And then last but not least, we've got casein protein. I only really recommend casein protein for people who are snacking on sweets late at night, because casein protein is the slowest absorbing type of protein you can get. You can get some really good flavors, and you can have it, just after, dinner or a meal. And it'll curb that sort of sweetness craving, and it'll also keep your muscles well fed whilst resting, because you're actually going into kind of a starvation mode when you're resting and sleeping. Yeah? So that prevents a breakdown of lean muscle tone, which ensures that your basal metabolic rate, which I mentioned before, is going up. So I won't confuse you on that one. I'll just leave that one there. If you've got any questions, do let me know. Either in person or, send me an email. The fastest way to get a hold of me is via Facebook on Messenger. I don't know, my emails just come through a lot slower than, obviously messages on Facebook. So if you need anything answered urgently, do hit me up on Facebook. This is where we'll be training. This is, if you're familiar with Rockingham Foreshore, that's Rustico's there. And we just train across the road from Rustico's Tappers and Bar in the park. There's a giant sort of, what would you call it, playground with a giant boat in the area, and this is all the car parking right there. So that is where we'll be training. It's very kid friendly. It's got fences all around here so kids can't run away and they can play in the playground. So do let me know if you don't know where that is, and I'll help you out. And these are the training session times. So you really got a 1, 2, 3. Well, you've got 12 sessions a week to choose from. They're 30-minute sessions, and something that's very important to me is that if you are struggling, it's okay to stop and just have a bit of a breather. Especially this first week, I'm really trying to get that soreness out of you as soon as possible, so that you're not focusing on your legs being sore, your arms being sore, that sort of thing, and we can start to really ramp up the training in order to see results faster. That's what we need to be doing, is we need to go through this kind of transitional period where your body's going to be sore, absolutely guaranteed your body's going to be sore, your legs are going to be sore. Daily activities like simply sitting down and getting up off the couch is going to be quite challenging from your legs being sore. However, give it a week and I guarantee that soreness will start to decline very, very rapidly. So that's why I'd come to as many sessions as you can, a minimum of 3 a week. Obviously, the more sessions that you come to, you can do 2 a day. Just make sure your eating's on point. The faster you're going to see results by, obviously being able to expend more calories with that. Yeah. So that is all I've got for you with this seminar. If you do have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, I look forward to seeing you, and let's smash this 30-day Kickstarter program. Yeah. Talk to you soon.